So back in 2014, when Ford released the S650 Mustang, it was the first one where all the Mustangs came with an independent rear suspension. So what did we do? We took it out, we stuck a GoPro underneath. We wanted to see what was happening underneath this car. Why? So we could develop a whole bunch of stop-the-hop kits to make sure your Mustang goes faster. Fast forward to 2024, we got our brand new S650 Mustang here. Now, while a lot of you think the suspension's the same under this, it's actually quite different in several key components. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go over an overview of all of our Steeda stop-the-hop kits, what kit works best for you, and what's gonna keep you hooking and going faster every time you're out in your Mustang.
So 9 years later, we have a whole heck of a lot of parts in front of us. Everything stop the hop for both S550 and S650. Steeda Stop the Hop Starter Kit. It's a great place to get started if you're looking to stop the wheel hop and get all that power planted to the ground on your Mustang. For the starter kit, we have the IRS subframe braces, our alignment kit, as well as the Bushings support system. Scott, tell us a little bit about those parts.
Well, the biggest thing we want to do from the get-go is to provide a good foundation for applying horsepower and trying to get the most traction out of your Mustang. So the bushing insert is going to go right in there, bolt in, fit in the stock voids. Real simple, non-permanent modification. The alignment dowels are going to help square that rear end to your subframe. Tying it all together is our patented IRS braces. Once again, bolts to factory mounting locations, adds no NVH whatsoever. But with the combination of the three, we're squaring the rear subframe, we're providing good stability by preventing bushing deflection, which is ultimately going to cause wheel hop and poor performance, and the IRS brace just tying everything together. It's absolutely the best place to start with your S550 or 650 Mustang. Like you said, road race, track, cars and coffee doing a burnout, that's what you want.
So if you already have the starter stop the hop kit, or you're looking to get a little bit more out of your S550 or S650 Mustang, which direction should they go from there?
We're going to attack some of the other rear key suspension components with the IRS Mustang. That's going to be with the vertical links and our adjustable toe links. Now the vertical links, we offer two different styles. One with a hard Delrin bushing, primarily we suggest that for drag racing. Or with a softer urethane bushing, which is going to offer a little bit better suspension compliance, not make the car nervous in the rear. That's going to be great for your daily drivers, your road racers, your autocrossers, things like that. Both made out of billet aluminum, provides much better stability, less deflection than the factory stamped steel vertical link. Moving on to the toe link, it's an adjustable design. It makes setting toe really easy. From a drag racing perspective, we also provide lockout tabs. What this does is as you get traction and your rear wheels start to move forward, it actually wants to go toe in. So the lockout tabs prevents you losing any toe adjustment, because let's face it, you're looking at a 38, 39, possibly 4,000 pound car. You get traction, courtesy of your Mickey Thompson tires, and it wants to toe in. Lockout tabs prevent that, and it makes adjusting toe really, really easy, depending on your ride height and what you've done to the vehicle.
And I see we have two different style vertical links here.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing the difference?
Sure. This is going to be your standard S550 vertical link. This is going to be your GT500 vertical link. But this vertical link is also found on the new Mustang, right?
Right. So if you have 6-piston brakes and the 4-piston in the back on your new S650 Mustang, Performance Package or Dark Horse, or if you optioned out for the Brembo package, you'll have this style vertical link on your Mustang.
If it's a base model, you're going to have the old style vertical link. And once again, just like the starter kit, these items, they're not going to add any NVH to your car whatsoever. So you can add them, not know they're back there until you go ripping or trying to get traction, but it's really not going to change your drivability. Wife's not going to be yelling at you what you do to the car. It's making all this noise. So really, really good key items to make you enjoy your Mustang even more.
So we know what kind of customer would add the starter kit. What kind of customer would want to add the vertical links or toe links?
Well, the customer trying to take it to the next level, right? That's why we have a progression. We have stages of kits. Let's say you're making 400, 500, 600 horsepower. You're going to want to install the vertical links. If it's a dedicated track car, or even if you go to the autocross or track events once a month, these are also items that are gonna really show improved lap times, and once again, just much more enjoyment out of your Mustang. So once again, vertical links, toe links, no NVH. It's gonna drive like it's stock until you really hammer it down and you need that added traction. And speaking of traction, how can it benefit you guys that like to hit the turns?
Obviously, we have those two different bushings in there, whether it's Delrin or polyurethane. You can get either with both style vertical links. Now, if you are going towards that Delrin, you're gonna be the drag racer. You want to eliminate as much deflection as possible to get as much power to the ground. However, if you're not a drag racer and you're like me, an autocrosser, someone who likes to road race, all about handling, you're gonna want that polyurethane bushing in there because the vertical link does a job. Those bushings are there for a reason. So you wanna have a little bit more compliance in the rear end of your S550 or S650 so you can have more control as your car transfers mid-corner into corner exit and getting that power down to the ground during the drag run to the next turn.
Let's face it, when you're on the road course, your rear suspension is doing a lot more than drag racing, right? Drag racing, we only deal with it at the hit, and then we're going down the track. You guys are hitting the berms, you're doing left-hand, right-hand turns, might be going over the rumple strips. Yeah, bushings all the way.
So taking things to the next level even further, we have other parts on the table here. If they already have the starter kit, they already have the vertical links, the adjustable toe links, what's next, Scott?
Well, what's next is if you're drag racing, like I'd like to do, you're gonna add the rear spherical control arm bearings. What this is gonna do is prevent deflection in the lower control arm. Working with John Uris and his wife Melissa on their drag car back in 2015, they were sending us slow motion videos. You could actually see that rear tire starting to migrate forward. But we already had toe links on the car, so it couldn't have been a change in toe. Had the lockout tabs. It's actually this real soft bushing from the factory. Once again, it's kind of a drag race only part because it's only happening when you go to launch the car. If you're out there hitting the turns, things like that, we really don't recommend this item. We've got some urethane options instead, but for drag racing, I would go in that direction. Keep that tire from moving forward, and our adjustable camber arms. What's wild about that is we actually sell a ton of those to the drag racers. And you might ask yourself, why? Camber, right? You want more traction going around corners and whatnot. Well, you actually have quite a bit of adjustment from the factory with the rear camber, but when it comes to drag racing, because we're dealing with an IRS setup in the back, when the rear end squats, unlike a solid axle car, you're actually gonna be cambering in upon launch. So for drag race applications, we sell that so you can actually get a little bit of positive camber. What we did was we took the silver bullet, we put it on the alignment rack, right? We had a whole bunch of videos of how far it's squatting on the launch. So we got the ratchet straps out, pulled it down, and oh yeah, so we're cambering in a little bit. We were able to measure that on the alignment rack, adjust the rear camber arms so that when the car squats at the hit, it actually comes back to perfect zero camber. You have the biggest contact patch possible, ultimately leading to the best possible traction. And like I said, it's a really, really good part. 7/8 rod end, all chrome moly construction with the adjusters, but it works really well in the road race applications as well. But from a drag racer's point of view, you can't get that positive camber from the factory, and that arm allows you to do it.
Now, this is a really, really beefy part. I know we did a lot of testing ahead of time with the factory camber arm versus ours.
Yeah.
Why is this part so beefy?
Because that's what the data told us to do. Every time Ford comes out with a new suspension, new chassis, we like to take parts, send them off to an independent lab, and break them. Factory arm is forged steel. It didn't break till 14,000 pounds, yet we're only dealing with a 4,000 pound car. So our initial designs in tubular steel wasn't adding up to what our delta was. We were saying here, if we're gonna make a part at Steeda, it's gonna be better or we're not gonna make it at all. So we had to find a way to make it better. It was the billet aluminum design, 4140 chromoly, heat treat, adjuster, insert, you name it. We went all out with that, no expense spared, but that's the design that we got led to get that strength to mimic the factory rear camber arm.
So Scott, we manufacture everything on this table except for one part. Which part is that?
That's gonna be these Ford Racing pieces right here. What that's gonna do is that's going to change the mounting point location of the rear toe link at the rear spindle/hub. What that's gonna do is just provide better suspension compliance, get rid of the real soft bushing. Once again, another simple item, no NVH whatsoever, and it's really a real trick product from Ford.
And it's one of those things that you add kind of mid down the line of everything on this table. If you already have the IRS subframe braces and the vertical links, the alignment kit, the bushing support system, you're around that point in your process for the rear end on your S550 or S650 Mustang. The Ford Performance knuckle to toe link bearings is a great way to go. And then where do we go from there, Scott?
Last but not least, our diff bushing kit. You see we've got black bushings here and we've got red bushings. The only difference is the durometer. The softer bushings, we really recommend that for the street, and really depends. It doesn't matter whether you're road racing, drag racing. Obviously we want to maintain a good pinion angle, not have the rear pinion deflecting, so that's why we have the bushing kits, but also is a really good maintenance item. What we found is in a lot of high horsepower cars down South Florida, run around twin turbo kits, Whipple kits, that over time they destroy that factory bushing. All this does is go in there and fill the factory voids, right? So you're limiting the movement. Unfortunately, if you don't have those in there and you do have a high horsepower car, even if you're just hammering it on the street, you're gonna wear out that factory bushing. The problem is there's no replacement factory bushings. You literally have to buy a complete rear subframe for the car or take out the factory bushings and swap to urethane. That's a real tedious job. It's like a 7-hour job. You gotta cut out, get rid of the old bushings, and it's a permanent modification of the car. This is super simple. I always tell people, go with the red bushings. If you're going to the drag strip, going to the road race course all the time, then you could go with the black bushings. Like I said, it's a much stiffer durometer, but stick with the red ones. It's a really good maintenance item. Don't have to worry about bushing failures down the road.
Now there is one downside to the differential bushing support system, and what is that, Scott?
They can't add NVH. We put it up there on the website, and when we say can add NVH, really depends on what day of the week your car was made. And what we mean by that is they don't technically cause NVH. What they do is amplify any harmonics in your rear end, your rear gear ratio, the backlash that was set on it from the factory. Like I said, we've installed this on cars, made no NVH whatsoever. We've installed them in some other cars, less miles, and man, it actually makes noise. So really depends on the application. But if you're out there and you're gonna hammer on your Mustang, it's really good from a maintenance standpoint because you never really have to worry about that factory bushing failing if you've got these diff bushing inserts.
Whether you're the kind of Mustang owner that likes to just go to car shows and cruise down the street, or the hardcore road racer or drag racer, there is something or everything on this table for you. And if you don't want to buy the parts individually, that's great because we have plenty of Stop the Hop kits available on our website that are catered to each individual need and level of driving for your vehicle. Hit us up at Steeda.com for all of your performance part needs. If you need any additional assistance, give our sales team a call. We'll be more than happy to help you out. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe, that notification bell, and don't forget the most important thing.
Speed matters.